The topic of school choice has been a key issue of discussion this election season, especially here in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott leading a charge to see vouchers implemented into the Texas education system, a push that's seen a staunch opposition within his own party. With a number of other states already passing legislation on the topic, Texas remains a heavily contested battleground for this polarizing policy. To better understand the topic, KTAB's Noah McKinney brings us a deeper look at the arguments from both sides and the core tenets that make the ongoing conversation in tonight's top story.
School choice and vouchers are likely terms you've heard a lot lately, whether from state political leaders.
All of Texas students will be doing better with a robust school choice program in the state of Texas.
Or local education officials.
I think school vouchers are bad for public education.
Our students, they're not worth any less than they are in an ISD.
But what is the choice in school choice? And what is a voucher? To put these campaign concepts into simpler terms, we sat down with Abilene political analyst McMurray's Dr. Paul Fabrizio.
School choice as it's currently looked at here in Texas is about using public money to help students who are in private school.
An idea Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been heavily advocating for in recent years, arguing it would give parents the choice to send their child to a private or charter school by diverting money away from state public education funding into vouchers for private school tuition.
Parents have argued that they're paying for the public schools, but they're not using the public schools, so the money that's being used for public schools should also go to them in private schools.
Detractors of the legislation holding that private schools are private for a reason.
Some of the schools that will be accepting these vouchers, they have no obligation to accept students with special needs, students from different language backgrounds.
School choice is about giving the poor and the middle class the same rights the rich have always had.
Whether religious or otherwise, they are institutions historically funded by private tuition and therefore not held to most state educational regulations. The argument being that public schools, which are held to those regulations and whose funding is already dependent on performance, would be put at a marked disadvantage.
Public schools, which have to exist and have to teach the students that are in their area, is it fair that they are competing against schools that don't have that requirement?
There'd be no accountability, and I just have a hard time right now using taxpayer dollars to fund private education.
Abilene State Representative Stan Lambert and Drew Darby, representing District 72, vocal advocates standing with rural districts who see the legislation as a net loss for Texas education.
They are saying, look, this is going to hurt our districts. And they're saying to the governor, you're wrong on this issue. There has been an ongoing search for a compromise on this issue that goes back to the 1940s and the 1950s, and they haven't found it yet.
The question of what school choice is far easier to answer than those facing lawmakers in this continued debate.
What is the role of government? What about separation of church and state? How do we keep funding this, and what is the consequence for those who are still in the public schools? These are questions that the legislature is going to argue about when it comes back into session next spring.
For BigCountryHomepage.com, I'm Noah McKinney.
Thank you, Noah. Dr. Fabrizio says the viability of vouchers here in Texas is dependent mainly on the outcome of the upcoming state election in November. The state representative and senator positions playing a major role in the legislator's ability to craft a plan that would have a chance of making it to Abbott's desk.